6 in the morning outside Calgary, -22. And the phone app says the car is preconditioning on the driveway. Frost in a thin sheet across the windscreen, the headlight strip glowing through it, and a number on the screen that a lot of people did not expect in their first winter. That morning is where the honest version of this story starts, not the test drive, not delivery day. This isn't a review. It's the part that comes after the review, once the press cars have gone back and real people are living with the thing. I haven't driven a Model 3. What I've done is read what owners wrote after a year with one. Forum threads, reliability surveys, recall filings, and the posts people write the week they hand the keys over. As of July 2026, this is where it stands. And with this car, things move fast. Straight away, one honesty point. If you searched for a 2026 Model 3 with a full year on the clock, the cars that actually have that mileage behind them are mostly late 2025 and very early 2026 builds. So that's what I've leaned on, plus 2025 Highland cars because mechanically they're close cousins. Where something only applies to the newest build, I'll say so. Let me start with what's genuinely good, because the research is clear on this, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. Owner sentiment on the Highland Generation Model 3 is strong. One survey of nearly 200 owners had 90% saying they'd recommend it. The recurring themes are the quiet cabin, the way the retuned suspension took the harshness out, the efficiency, and the charging network, which people bring up unprompted over and over as the thing that stops road trips being a maths problem. Battery degradation reports have been mild so far, commonly cited in the 2 to 4% band over the first 30,000 kilometers. Nobody is reporting packs falling off a cliff. That matters more than every rattle in this video put together, and it deserves saying plainly before I start listing irritations. Right. Now the year one stuff. Deep cold first because it produces more first-year complaints than anything else. Recurrent's winter study running across more than 30,000 vehicles put EVs generally at around 80% of rated range in freezing conditions. Owners in Alberta, Manitoba, Northern Ontario, and the Scottish Highlands describe something rougher than that once the temperature properly drops. A quarter to a third gone, and worse than that on short trips where the pack never warms up. Here's the detail that catches people. If your car is a standard or long-range RWD with the LFP pack, cold hurts you slightly more than it hurts the AWD cars, and the state of charge reading gets less trustworthy when it's freezing. Owners in Canada and Norway have flagged that repeatedly. The heat pump in every Highland car does a lot of the heavy lifting, and preconditioning while plugged in genuinely works. Consumer Reports measured roughly a 7% efficiency gain on a cold highway loop just from using scheduled departure. But the school run in January, 5 minutes each way. Heater blasting? That's where the numbers get ugly. And no amount of software fixes physics. I'll be straight with you. That wouldn't put me off. It's a planning problem, not a fault. Whether it's a planning problem you want in your life is a different question. Now, this next one only shows up when you drive in traffic. The turn signal buttons. This is the single most argued about thing on the entire car. And after 2 years of it, Tesla blinked. The Highland launched with signal buttons on the steering wheel, spokes, and no stalk. Owners in the UK and Ireland, roundabout countries, were the loudest because the complaint isn't that buttons are hard. It's that when the wheel isn't straight, your muscle memory has nowhere to go, and that happens at exactly the wrong moment. Shared car households mentioned it more than solo drivers. Some owners said it became normal within a week. Others were still noticing it a year in. Tesla brought the stock back, first in China in the summer of 2025, then into European and US production, and every new Model 3 has one now. If you own a Highland without it, there's an official retrofit. $595 US, around 850 Australian dollars, and roughly 770 US equivalent in Europe. Free installation in the States. That's not a small amount of money to buy back a lever your car should have come with, and that's the pattern for the 2026 cars generally. The front bumper camera is now standard matte black badge, and in Europe and Asia Pacific, a bigger 82 kilowatt-hour pack, pushing the long-range RWD to 750 kilometers, 466 miles on WLTP. The bumper camera can't be retrofitted to older Highlands. Tesla have been clear about that, and owners are not thrilled because the ultrasonic parking sensors were deleted years ago, and camera-only close-quarters parking is a recurring first-year grumble. Multi-story car parks in London and Toronto, a supermarket bay with a trolley bay beside it. That's where people notice. Heat, next. Australian and Texan owners talk less about the air conditioning, which copes, and more about two other things. The glass roof turns the cabin into a greenhouse in a car park at 40+ degrees. Shades are the most bought accessory for a reason. And tires. This is the running cost nobody budgets for. Industry testing puts EV tire wear 30 to 40% faster than a comparable petrol car, and Australian data from early 2026 landed in the 15 to 30% band. Model 3 owners commonly report needing a set somewhere between 40 and 65,000 kilometers. A full set runs roughly $800 to $1,600 and one owner posted a quote near $1,800 for 20-inch rubber. In Australia, rotations run $80 to $150 every 10 to 12,000 kilometers, and the air conditioning decent service, recommended around the 6-year mark, sits near $400. I read the tire threads twice, because the gap between what people expected and what they paid was wider than on any other item. Long distance now. Seat comfort past 4 hours gets good marks. The acoustic glass is a real improvement, and highway noise is where the biggest engineering gain of the refresh landed. What owners still report is squeaks and rattles. Consumer Reports owner comments on Highland-era cars read like a catalog of them. Dashboard rattles, B-pillar noises, creaking from the seat, and steering column, warped roof seals. One owner described a popping noise from the rear that mobile service couldn't find on the first visit and had to bring the car in with body microphones to trace. That's a good outcome, incidentally. It's also a day of your life. 2 smaller ones from the ownership threads, both worth knowing, and neither dramatic. Headlight condensation shows up fairly often after car washes or humid weather. The assemblies are vented, minor misting clears itself, and Tesla treat it as normal. And the heat pump. It's a better design than the old resistive setup, but compressor failure is the low probability, high-cost item on this car. I found no sign of it being widespread. I'm flagging it because it's the one repair that would hurt outside warranty, not because it's common. Recalls. Facts only here, and I'd rather you check your own VIN than take my word. NHTSA Campaign 25V690, filed October 2025. Certain 2025 Model 3s built between the 8th of March and the 12th of August 2025 can have a battery pack contactor fail, causing sudden loss of drive power with no warning. Just under 13,000 vehicles across Model 3 and Model Y. Remedy is contactor replacement, free letters mailed December 2025. Separately, campaign SB25 as a 1303 covers certain 2026 Model 3 and Model Y cars where seatback fasteners may not have been tightened correctly. Inspection and tightening, letters mailed August 2025. And in mid-2026, there's a rear-view camera delay recall fixed over the air, though that one lands on older model years. That's a real recall list. It's also not an unusual one for a modern car, and the remedies are free. Run your VIN through Tesla's or NHTSA's lookup. That's the whole job. Money. Depreciation is the biggest line on this car, and it isn't what it was. Recent analysis has the Model 3 dropping 20 to 25% in year 1 and 30 to 40% by year 3, with used Tesla prices falling faster than the wider used market through 2025. That's not disastrous. It's roughly premium compact sedan territory, but the days of selling one for what you paid are gone. Insurance is the other one. U.S. averages sit around $3,000 a year, well above a comparable petrol saloon, and UK and Australian owners report the same pattern. Which brings me to the ex-owner, and this is the bit I always want most. A retired UK owner bought a Model 3 in 2020 with his pension lump sum for his wife, and sold it in 2025. He told Business Insider he'd paid close to £50,000 and got just over $10,000 back. The worst depreciation of any car he'd owned. His stated reason for selling was Elon Musk's politics. And he was blunt about it, but the rest of his account matters more for you. He never really liked the car. Seats he found uncomfortable, an interior he thought felt cheap, controls buried in the screen that took his eyes off the road, door sealing that let noise in, and suspension that started squeaking after a couple of years. He bought a BYD. Now, be fair to the car here. That was a 2020 build. Most of what he described is exactly what the Highland Refresh went after. Better seats, better materials, better sealing, revised suspension. His experience isn't evidence about a 2026 car. What it is is a reminder that the screen-first interface and the depreciation curve are structural, not teething problems, and if either of those bothers you on the test drive, a year won't fix it. 2 other things worth knowing. The rear seat is the Model 3's weak spot against its own Model Y sibling. Taller passengers sit knees up under that sloping roof. For a couple with a dog and a weekly shop, the boot is deep and the frunk swallows the awkward stuff. For 2 adults plus car seats on a 4-hour run, read the rear measurements before you sign anything. And the Australian and New Zealand cars now carry a 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty, which is better than what buyers get in several other markets. Pricing, date stamped and roughly. The U.S. standard opens near $37,000. Australia's Model 3 range starts around $55,000 Australian